Hello, can you hear me, friends? Thank you. Thank you, Fertile Brains, for this wonderful opportunity. It is great to be here reciting my poetry. First, and of course, hats off to you for the wonderful initiatives that you have been taking. And let me, first of all, say something about poetry. Why I write poetry? On what subjects? Well, let me tell you, I'm reminded of that main scene in Dead Poets Society, that movie, and it was 1989, yeah. 1989, Robin Williams as John Keating, the maverick teacher, says, "We don't read and write poetry because it is cute. We don't read and write poetry because it is cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the noble race. And the human race is filled with passion. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for." So I think we are alive because of poetry, love, beauty, romance. And let me tell you, poetry is very, very addictive. When you feel very strongly about something, the words just erupt, and some poems just write themselves. And as far as I'm concerned, I write a lot about nature, about nostalgia. I also, in my poems, I've also written a lot against war, about nonviolence, and I have also written of dissent and resistance. And my two poetry books, Where Are the Lilacs and Songs of Belligerence, have a lot of poems of resistance. And you know, poetry is that itching in the fingers, that churning in the heart. It is that confused babble of voices inside the head, trying to break free of all confines of the mind, hunting for open spaces for liberation. So these words seek liberation in the form of poetry, and that is why I write. I write poetry because those confused thoughts need an outlet, otherwise, I'll feel suffocated. So you'll find a lot of nostalgia, childhood memories, memories of Kashmir, and a lot of nostalgia about peace, about love. So, and nature is very much a part of my poetry. So let me begin. And by the way, it is 11th April today, and it is Kasturba Gandhi's birthday. She was born on 11th April 1869. And in this book of mine, which is a poetic biography of Mahatma Gandhi, there is a chapter on Kasturba Gandhi. I would first of all begin by reciting a few stanzas from that. And in case you don't know, this entire book has been written in the rhyme scheme of a limerick, AABBA. So I'm going to recite a few stanzas from this, Kasturba's death, 22nd February 1944. A shadow fell on the Aga Khan palace. Our life could be cruel and callous. Death knocked at its door on 22nd February 1944, when Kasturba fell victim to death's malice. Chronic bronchitis had taken a life. How sorely he missed his wife. This woman remarkable to Gandhi was indispensable. Pain pierced his body like a sharp knife. His idiosyncrasies she had borne all, many a time filled with utter gall. The man diminutive, his grief accumulative, sat huddled in a corner, enveloped in a gloomy pall. All her life, she catered to her husband mighty, this woman gentle, also full of piety, at times pliant, sometimes defiant, but shackled by patriarchal society. She had endured the authoritative streak in him, stoically bearing many a fad and whim. A husband caring, but often overbearing, was now trying to valiantly face a situation grim. So I stop here. So this is Ballad of Bapu, and there is one entire chapter on Kasturba Gandhi, and incidentally, it is her birthday today. And the next poem is from my other book, Under the Apple Boughs, and this is a sad poem. Uh, but there is someone at the door. But there is someone at the door. Happily she chirps, there is someone at the door. He has come, he has come. In her heart, a tumultuous uproar. Frantically she rushes, wiping her hands on a napkin. With a sad air from a tree, watches a tiny robin. Someone screams, "Oh, Dad, you're indeed such a bore." The bore, the bore sits in the balcony, hugging this memory of yours. With a hot cup of tea, trying to warm his heart cold. Eyes fixed on an atrophied leaf turned gold. Sadly he says, he'll not come back, he is gone. It is no point trying to cling to this hope forlorn. Do not say so, it's his birthday, a new hopeful dawn. Remember, 15 years back, this day he was born. Wiping her hands, the fond mother runs towards the lawn in denial mode, absolutely refusing to believe he has gone. Wistfully, he looks at the lonely window, willow bat at the door, at the corner, and then slowly casts an intensely sad look upon her. On a spineless stem, a primrose wilts, an anemone moans, and a bunch of daffodils discreetly hide their groans. Come spring, in his garden, the narcissus will bloom, but to his heart he will still hug the endless bloom. On a leafless tree, a tiny bird sings its dirge. Grave-looking clouds on the blue immensity converge. With a somber air, they watch the mother at the door. In the hunched husband's heart, there is an anguished roar. A flamboyant bird guiltily hides itself inside its plumage. Ah, a cruel gust of wind had removed that happy page. When, when this family was such a riotously happy threesome, and every day and every night was a melodic song to hum. 2 years back, a dark cloud had wiped out the sunshine. The mother still believes, the sun will come back to shine. With one resounding roar of the gun, he had fallen silent. That loud sound, alas, had crushed all those sounds vibrant. His son, like the daffodil, had hasted away so soon. Sadly he sits, wasting away, looking at the ageless moon. Every day and every night he sits in his balcony chair, seething at life's hammer blow, so cruel and so unfair. Every day and every night she prepares his favorite dish. In his overburdened heart, the father hides his anguish. Happily she chirps, Yes, yes, look, he's at the door, he's at the door. He takes a sip of tea, his heart pierced to the core. Ceaselessly he listens to the cacophony of the silence, so tired of lamenting a long life's evanescence. The chill has settled in his heart, and the guns still roar, but the mother in a frenzy, still keeps rushing to the door. I need to have a sip of water here. And the next poem is a short poem, and this is from my book, What is the Meter of the Dictionary? And it is Demons Again. Demons Again. Lying on the bed, eyes fixed on the hands of the clock, I'm an outsider, shadow boxing with my stalking demons. There is open war replacing the shadow boxing. My demons cackle at the wild power of shackling me. With impunity, they pounce at flat-footed me, slicing me with mind-boggling bravado. Woe is me, woe is me. But with the first stirring of dawn, they hastily pack the ammunition in rucksacks, slinging them over their shoulders, and are gone, leaving me battered and bruised, licking my wounds. They hide in crannies, sharpening their weapons. The fire of vengeance raging still, encaged in their breasts, soaked by the December chill. warmed by the thought that the night is just a few hours away, when they can once again create the cacophony and sway. Does the lion wait? Tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, goes the clock. Night falls, night falls. Someone knocks, someone knocks. Dimmings again. So this is from my book, What is the Meat of the Dictionary? And I want to recite one more poem from this. This is from the part, O Africa, and it was written in the year 2016 when I had been to Accra, Ghana. So this is the poem I wanted to read. From my hotel window, I watched enthralled in a welter of crimson the sunset. The warmth of the day ebbed into a balmy chill. The palm trees did some sort of a drill, serenading the spiraling, billowing, rising, falling, rolling, sparring, and the whistling sea. The tall trees loomed back. The tall trees loomed black in silhouette. The dark night took them in an embrace, trying to lull them into sleep. But like naughty brats, every leaf stirred with spunky mischief, rustled and slouched, not wanting to sleep. On pitter, pattering feet, morning did creep. The birds, eyes scrunched up, struggled to locate the sunny uplands. The chickens and hens strutted and struggled about like incipient ideas in doubt. The dark clouds poured and poured like mercy unstrained, as if purging themselves of guilt. Like a surge of unrestricted freedom, water ran gurgling down drain pipes. Lo and behold, the sun appeared riding on a grey cloud. In its soft rays, washed my being with love unadulterated, and an infinite beauty filled my soul. I felt sated as a rain-drenched kid smiled up at me from his mother's lap, now sun-drenched. Thank you. And I hope I'm not boring you with my poems. This is a couple of stanzas from my long narrative poem, which won the Reuel International Poetry Prize in the year 2014. And this is a narrative poem in 100 pages, and the illustrations are by Avijit Sarkar. So I'll just read a few stanzas from this. So overwhelmed with emotion, he squatted in a corner and wept, only to spring up with a resolve to go miles before he slept. Maybe he was getting delusional, maybe yes, maybe no, maybe yes, maybe not. On the horns of a dilemma, he was pathetically caught. Around the tree stump sat the noisy and weird folks, gorging away with the dexterous use of chopsticks, knives, and forks. You have to catch a murderer. You have to catch a murderer, said a scrawny man in a voice bold. 50, catch a murderer? I never ever caught a cold. Trying to be smart, he barked, shoving a mushroom into his mouth. Having thrust this indignity at him, now he got up and headed south. By the myriad perfumes of Arabia, he was suddenly assailed when from the bushes the woman in white towards him sailed. So this is a 100-page surrealistic, spooky poem. There are many wonderful illustrations by Avijit Sarkar, and this won me the first International Reuel Prize in the year 2014. And now from my book, Runcible Spoons and Pea Green Boats, this is a poem about my dad. In fact, Runcible Spoons and Pea Green Boats, this is also a line from Edward Lear's poems, and this poem my papa, used to recite strumming an imaginary guitar. So I'm going to recite this poem. You came again, Dad. You came again, Dad. Your trouser legs safely pinned up, hat tilted to one side. The sun rays playing with your salt and pepper hair. I saw you once again yesterday night. Care for a ride? Come hop in, you offered. Your hands at the handle of your stylish bicycle, so strong. Remember, remember how I taught you to ride a bicycle? You used to be so petrified. You reminded me of my fear. Then we laughed together, we guffawed together. I remember, I remember how you used to climb up to the ridge of the roof and straddle it, such a prankster. With a big pout, you clambered up the roof when I shouted at you and fell straight in my arms. Papa said, you again tilted your hat at a rakish angle. This is what you call, this is what your generation calls swag. You chuckled. Dad, Dad, which generation are you talking of, huh? I'm no longer young. I know your tongue was always wedged in your cheek. You exist in a time warp, Dad. You exist in a time warp, Dad. I swallowed. I swallowed. I swallowed. You were gone. You were gone. So soon? So soon? Stop, Dad, stop. But you hopped on. But you hopped onto your bicycle and were gone. Gone. But for a few minutes, but for a few minutes, I felt I was once again home. I was once again home. Home in that affectionate gleam in your eyes. Home in that touch of your hand, so soft and tender. Home in that ripple of laughter. Home in those solid, reassuring arms. Home in those nostalgia tinted memories of a garden exploding with flowers, unshackled love, and, and that blazing heart of warmth which had then seemed would be forever lit with love, light, and laughter. Thank you. So this is Runcible Spoons and Pecan Rolls. It is about my parents, my mother, my father, my granny. Thank you. And I would like to recite a few poems from my latest book, Sunset in a Cup. Sunset in a Cup. This was published just a month back. Sunset in a Cup. Yes, she was still there. Yes, she was still there, wearing anklets. I could hear them singing, chiming, miming the sound of raindrops. No, no, my ears were not ringing. The wind hissed sharply. Sleep sitting on the edge of my eyelids yanked itself awake and looked around wide-eyed and looked around wide-eyed. Could it hear the anklets too? Could it hear the anklets too? Who hooted the owl? Who is singing? Who? Tell me, who? It continued sitting. It continued sitting, glued. It continued sitting, glued to the edge of my eyelids. Sleep, I mean. Sleep, I mean. Looking around keenly, it leaned a bit towards the window. It leaned a bit towards the window. Yes, yes, yes. The woman in the clouds was still there. The woman in the clouds was still there. Sleep perked up. Sleep perked up, jumped out of the window and was gone. Then, a tinkle, a jangle, a hush, a hush. There was rain. There was rain. Pitter, patter, splattering the window pane. Who hooted the owl? Who is singing? Who? Tell me, who? Now she was singing with a full-throated ease, so pleasing, sensuous, sinuous, soothing. Tip, 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 tip. Who hooted the owl? Who is singing? Who? Yes, tell me, who? And now there is another poem, Alarm Bells. alarm bells. And this is on page 79 of this book, Sunset in a Cup, alarm bells. Yea, the days had grown hotter. The days had grown hotter, and the doctor had told me that I had symptoms of dehydration, that I had symptoms of dehydration. So it was water that I needed. Yes, I need water. That I had symptoms of dehydration. So it was water that I needed. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. He had repeated in serious tones, or else, or else. The bells started ringing, alarm bells, alarm bells, alarm bells. The bells of Edgar Allan Poe once again, tintinnabulating their refrain, their serrated teeth cutting the expansive night. They were creeping all over me, the demons. The demons were creeping all over me, and their serrated teeth cut the expansive night into chunks, of intimidating silence. A chunk here, a chunk here. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. The doctor's words grated on my senses. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Was someone at the gate? Was someone at the gate? I could hear drums. I could hear drums and electric guitars. How bizarre. How bizarre. A twosome stealthily crept into the kitchen. A twosome stealthily crept into the kitchen, jumped onto the kitchen slab. Everything was still. Everything was still. Did the demons see me coming into the kitchen for a glass of water? Did they also crave water? Yea, the days had grown hotter, hotter. The silence then perked up and started humming. The silence then perked up and started humming. Or was it the twosome perched on the kitchen slab strumming? Soft was the tone, soft was the tone, soothing and soft. Fool, said I, you do not know. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. These are lines from the 1960s hit by Simon and Garfunkel. I looked at the walls, I searched in the halls, trying to read meaning in those sounds, trying to read meaning in those sounds of silence, those sounds of silence. How can one take your arm silly? How can one take your arm silly in these abnormal times of social distancing? The graffiti on the wall outside gleamed in the moonlight. Hello, darkness, my friend. Then in slow motion, the twosome walked away. Shoulders stooped, lackadaisically finger waving. An owl hooted, cicadas chirped, the trees added a rustle or two. A hymn was born. The night was happy. That it would now turn in. Yawn. Another morn had dawned. Yes, yet another dawn had fallen victim to a cliche. Disheartened, dazed, indifferent, and half crazed, the wake-up call had gone unheeded. Was there no way humanity could be redeemed? Thank you. And this is the last poem, I think. I'll read this. And this is I Can Hear You, Vincent. I Can Hear You, Vincent. And this is a tribute to Vincent van Gogh, his birthday, 30th March. It was published in Law Theory and Poetry Journal in 2021. So here it is. I can hear you, Vincent. The golden hues of your sunflowers drenched me as I sat mulling over things to do. I'm all ears, Vincent. I'm all ears, Vincent. Listening to the colors lisping as you splash them over the canvas long, 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 long years back. In the silence all pervasive, as we fight on in these despairing times, I now hear, I now hear the heartbeat of the peasant woman, as she looks at the man on her right in your iconic oil painting, the potato eaters. These poems, some of these poems were written during the COVID time, so I had ample time to study Vincent van Gogh and read a lot. So I can hear the heartbeat of the peasant woman as she looks at the man on her right in your iconic oil painting, The Potato Eaters. Is he her husband? Maybe just a neighbor? Is he her husband? Maybe just a neighbor? What is the emotion floating in her talkative eyes? What is the emotion floating in her loquacious eyes, in her talkative eyes? I can hear the drip, drip, drip. I can hear the drip, drip, drip as one peasant woman pours coffee into cups and they sip, sip, sip and partake of the rich yield of potatoes from their fields. Yes, I can hear you, Vincent. I can hear you, Vincent. I can hear the gnarled fingers. I can hear the gnarled fingers creating a symphony as the poor folk prick the potatoes with cheap forks, as they create a symphony with those cheap folks. And I almost choke as the claustrophobic silence grips me, suffocating me. Socially distant, I feel close, very close to those potato eaters, surviving yet another day on their meager meal, and I feel one with them. Yes, I can hear you, Vincent. That's all, and thank you so much. It has been an honor reciting my poems from some of my books, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, the Fertile Brains. Thank you, Prasanna Kumarji, and you are doing a great job. Thank you.